In the wild, if you come across this type of wild fruit, don't miss it because it could be worth $100,000. This guy found the fruit and, with 3 women, survived the African wilderness, bagging a $100,000 prize. This challenge is set in the African wilderness. Meet our first participant, Jenny. She's 35 and admitted she was terrified upon arrival. Honestly, her appearance scared me too. The second participant is Heather, also a 35-year-old woman. She looks somewhat decent. The third participant is Lauren. She's a 41-year-old woman and looks quite terrifying. The fourth participant is Robin, a 33-year-old young man. Is he out of his mind? Surviving in the wild with 3 women? Director, this could be deadly. This is the African savannah. It's packed with scary wild beasts, but these 3 women are even more frightening than lions and wild dogs. 3 women and a good-looking guy trying to survive. Even the crocs would be terrified. When we arrived, the women began shedding their clothes. Their grinning faces made me nervous. Robin, unaware of the impending danger, hopefully won't end up as a dried-up corpse. Jenny and Heather met first. Besides her name, Jenny has no redeeming qualities. Heather, though, is quite the looker with her fair skin and pretty face. When Lauren showed up, they were both stunned, not knowing it was a 3-person contest. I don't mind more women, but the way they all stare at me is a real issue. My grandma's leg, even my hands ache from all the pixelating. The 3 women were happily chatting about not needing a man to conquer the African wilderness, but when Robin showed up, their eyes were glued to him, especially Jenny, who looked ready to pounce. Only Heather seemed bashful. Jenny was the happiest, and even Lauren couldn't hide her excitement. Robin didn't realize how dangerous it was. He assumed it was a civilized setup and no one would act crazy. He never imagined there'd be 3 women, making it his shining moment. I've seen 2 guys and a girl make it, but 3 girls and 1 guy is a first. Robin must have some serious connections or be the director's kid. The show gave them a fire starter and a pot, which is a huge help. This pot is the biggest and newest I've ever seen. Robin came with a slingshot for hunting, Lauren with a primitive axe, Heather with fishing gear, and Jenny with a machete. The tools are all set, but can Jenny stay quiet? It's still daylight, keep your thoughts clean. Once they picked their spot, they began hiking. They chatted and laughed the whole way, enjoying themselves. They had to hike 7 kilometers to the river where they'd set up their shelter. On the first day, despite the heat, they were mostly immersed in the joy of chatting. Lauren, who has biochemical training, knows how to identify plants and gather wild food. She loves hiking and joined the show for her passion for the outdoors. Even if she's not the prettiest, she's here. The thorny path made walking painful. But this pain was nothing for Jenny. She's used to going barefoot in Hawaii and loves chasing thrills in the mountains and sea. Hunting is her forte. She's tougher than most guys. Jenny's strong, though she's a bit dark and not very attractive. But at least she's a woman. The path was covered with leaves, possibly hiding snakes, so they walked very slowly. Heather's a real gem. She loves the outdoors and does more advanced stuff than Jenny and Lauren. Robin also enjoys going to snowy mountains, similar to Heather's hobbies. I get it now, Robin's target must be Heather. Jenny handles the hunting and helping out, while Lauren focuses on foraging. After they eat, it's Heather's time to shine. They trekked for hours without getting there, but they did find and gather lots of wild fruits along the way. After collecting the fruits, they kept moving and soon arrived at a river with a vast stretch of sandy soil. They spotted plenty of potential meals scurrying about, but all they had was a slingshot. A bow and arrow would have been much better. But with a river that big, fishing should pay off. Heather's main worry wasn't the water source. He was more concerned about the nearby carnivores, so they had to quickly find a safe spot for their shelter. Once they did, they got to work building it. Everyone got to work and the girls were super proactive. Unlike those who try to win by slacking off, this group is really capable. If food isn't an issue, they can definitely last until the 21st day. Lauren quickly got the fire going. She began boiling water. Their shelter looks great and should be safe at night. After a day's work, they began to rest. At around 7, Jenny got up for a drink and felt instantly refreshed. The night scenes were dull and the video quality was bad. To save your data, we skipped that part for you. It's now day 2. The girls had a blast last night, each one as fierce as a tiger. They woke up and drank a pot of water for breakfast, still full from the night before. Drinking water was almost unnecessary. After breakfast, they went to the river to fish. Heather felt she didn't perform well enough last night. I had no clue what she meant. They barely drink water now. Heather wanted to string a line across the river, with hooks in the middle to catch fish. Yesterday, they collected a lot of wild fruits and planned to use the bugs inside as bait. They squeezed out the bugs. I really admire their restraint in not taking a bite. After baiting the hooks, they strung them across the river. They seemed to set up just 4 hooks, each a different length, and use stones to weigh down the line. Hoping to catch some big fish, Robin and Lauren, with no other plans, went into the woods to explore. to see if they could hunt anything. They didn't spot a single bird. The bugs on the ground were sun-dried and pitch black. The place seemed eerily quiet. They started turning over stones and found some worms, which are great for sashimi or fishing. They kept flipping stones and found some strange bugs, which she took back for Jenny to eat. A few hours later, Heather and the gang checked the fishing traps, but they came up empty. Jenny's smile faded without any fish. She was a bit worried that Robin wouldn't get enough protein to see the next day's sun. The sun here was scorching, so Heather planned to make a sun hat. Robin explored for so long today and only caught a few bugs, not enough to replenish the energy spent. After returning to the shelter, they fried the bugs on the pot lid. Wouldn't they be better for fishing? Jenny returned and was thrilled to see so many bugs. And she was thrilled. Heather kept fishing by the shore, clearly unfazed by the sun. After a day of hunger, they all looked worn out. They munched on bugs and took a break in the shelter. Heather kept fishing, showing her perseverance, but returned empty-handed after a few hours. The bugs were still squirming on the pot lid. Do they even check if the charcoal is hot? By 6 in the evening, the bugs were still the same, but Robin kept munching away. How could they even stomach it? It must be no different from... Heather found the bugs adorable and tasty, munching on them one by one. He couldn't be happy without catching any fish. After dinner, they prepared to sleep. It was now the third day. They didn't sleep well last night. Heather was thinking about fishing first thing in the morning. While crafting the fishing rod, he was all smiles. This young master clearly has a passion for fishing. Even Jenny, the hunting expert, found fishing tough. He had to get creative. Once the rod was ready, Heather was eager to fish, while Robin prepped for hunting. The nearby plump pig seemed so carefree. Why didn't they try to catch one for food? The sun was scorching, but Robin's woven shoes made walking easier. Guinea fowls were all over the place. Why didn't he use his slingshot? He said he was going hunting but just lay there enjoying the view. Was he just messing with the guinea fowls? Meanwhile, Heather and Jenny kept struggling to fish. It's great to have a sister to spoil you. They'd been waiting forever without catching any fish, and Jenny was losing hope. This place is really something else. She was throwing stones for them under the scorching sun. At least they should catch a few. Even though Jenny was dark and ugly, she had a kind heart. From morning until after 4 in the afternoon, they had been fishing. Jenny was getting sunburned. When Heather saw Jenny leave, he couldn't convince her to stay. Fishing was okay, but Jenny wasn't up for getting sunburned. Heather's fishing obsession was really strong. Robin was still enjoying the view. He believed hunting required patience. Suddenly, he saw a small fish and wanted to catch it, but he moved too quickly. Finding a small fish in this pile of grass was too difficult. Night fell. A lion appeared near the shelter. Jenny didn't know what it was. They all became alert. The lion was close, eyeing them intently. They waited nervously to see who'd step out for a bathroom break. Heather distinctly heard it roar. They were too scared to sleep. It was now the 4th day. Robin went out early to collect wood. He saw many footprints on the ground. No human could make prints that deep. This creature must have been really heavy. Robin figured it was the same one from last night. He was collecting wood here. Firewood was essential every night to keep wild animals away. Lauren and Jenny were searching for bugs in the jungle. Jenny ditched fishing and joined the bug hunt. In the African wilderness, protein is all around. They've resorted to eating bugs. Come on, guys, set up some hunting traps and catch something to eat, please. Seth's been trying his luck at different spots along the river, but he hasn't caught a single fish. Are there even any fish in there? Seth always thought he was great at fishing, but coming here, he's been completely outmatched by the African fish. After gathering wood, Robin plans to go out and set traps. He'll use bugs as bait to hunt for some protein. With a stone slab and a stick, you can make a trap. This forward trap is the most common and usually only catches small mice. Traps aren't guaranteed to catch prey, but without them, you won't get anything. On day 5, Lauren joins the fishing team. Seth's skin is now as dark as charcoal. Starving, he desperately hopes to catch a fish to eat. In the end, he didn't catch any fish and the fishing line broke. Seth is now in a daze, having lost all hope. He just sits there, hoping for a fish to bite. Lauren heads back to the shelter and updates the team on Seth's situation, thinking he's become obsessed with fishing. Seth hasn't caught a single fish, and the cameraman's at risk of sunburn on the shore. Jenny feels bad for Seth. She hopes Seth doesn't stress too much. He could take a nap and try fishing again later. Seth is dog-tired by the river. While his teammates nap in the shelter, Seth feels it's on him to catch fish and blames himself if he fails. Sometimes, being too responsible isn't a good thing. It's better to be a bit carefree. Seth keeps hoping for a miracle. Even if he's about to fall asleep, he keeps fishing. He keeps changing fishing spots, but only catches tiny fish, though he seems foolish. His teammates aren't any brighter, just banging rocks together. Seth didn't come back until evening. They now realize the problem is serious. They have no food. Robin thinks they need a family meeting. to redistribute everyone's tasks. After several days of hunger, they're all exhausted and can't muster the energy to do anything. Seth thinks he's been fishing non-stop and helping the team a lot. Jenny disagrees right away. Sure, you haven't caught any fish, but claiming you've done more than us? No way. Seth feels embarrassed. Jenny also criticizes him for wasting the whole day fishing. Lauren knew everyone was tired and needed protein. If Heather didn't fish, staying here to sleep would be pointless. If they could order takeout, I bet everyone would want to lie in the shelter and sleep for 21 days. The family meeting yielded no results, but at least there was no conflict. On the 6th day, Lauren found 2 frogs for Heather to use as bait. I really admire her. She's tirelessly working for food. It's better than those past contestants who just stayed hungry. She could leave the hook and do other tasks instead of waiting for a bite. It'd be smarter to use the time for other tasks. Robin went to check the hunting traps which had been triggered, but they hadn't caught anything. Robin felt hungry and dizzy, so they had to reset the traps. Jenny found the challenge too difficult, especially getting food. They realized it was hard to keep going without food here. Robin suggested moving to another location. On the 7th day, they started discussing it early in the morning. Although it was comfortable living here, they couldn't get any food, maybe due to bad luck. They discussed where to move. Jenny picked a spot on the map, and everyone agreed. They decided to move the next day and make one last effort to gather food before leaving. Lauren wanted a good meal before they left, so Heather went fishing. Jenny boiled water in the shelter and prepared ropes for the move. Heather finally got a bite and caught a small fish. She was so happy she could almost fly. Jenny was happy for her too. If Heather hadn't caught a fish, she might have gone crazy. Heather brought the fish back to the shelter. After waiting 7 days, catching this small fish felt like fulfilling a wish. Around 5 in the afternoon, they went to gather wood for cooking the fish and unexpectedly found a small mouse. The running protein made the girls drool. They chased the mouse and finally killed it with Jenny's big knife. The mouse never expected to die at the hands of these women. They were lucky today, at least they caught some protein to eat. Although the fish was small, everyone was happy about it. After 10 days of drying, they finally got a bit of meat, and everyone got a piece. Don't underestimate this bite of meat. It will trigger stomach acid, making them feel even hungrier within an hour. Next was Jenny's mouse, which they roasted directly over the fire. It only took a few minutes to cook. Jenny took a bite. It tasted like beef jerky. Having 2 meat meals today was another milestone in their survival journey. It was a significant breakthrough. On the 8th day, it was moving day. They packed up all their tools and set off. They ventured to the other side of the path, hoping the resources there would be plentiful. Everyone was excited about the new location. It was a gamble, but with nothing to lose, they were fearless. They grabbed their belongings and set off. Lauren was most worried about encountering large animals. Danger was everywhere, and this move would surely drain their energy. After 2 hours of walking, they reached a thicker part of the jungle. This hike wasn't as fun as the first day. The path ahead was full of unknown trees. After 3 hours, they reached a dry riverbed with no water in sight. Robin felt unlucky. After 4 hours, the grass was almost dry, and Heather started to panic. Moving might have been a bad decision. They found a baobab tree, which could be a food source. Heather hoped to find baobab fruit and was already imagining its taste. They searched everywhere. Unfortunately, they came up empty-handed. Jenny then spotted a plant whose leaf direction hinted at nearby water. Sure enough, they found a water source nearby. The water here was clearer and cleaner, giving Lauren hope. The area was more open, making it a good spot for a shelter. With a plan in place, they got to work right away. Everyone tirelessly contributed to the team effort. Robin was thrilled to see the girls working so hard. He was thrilled. They lit a fire and began boiling water. Around 1 a.m., the weather suddenly shifted. They gathered around the fire, shivering. It was clear they wouldn't sleep much. In the morning, they felt even weaker. The night before had been freezing. Heather mentioned they needed to upgrade the shelter for better sleep. They planned to finish the shelter's insulation today. July is winter in Zambia, so they decided to build a bed off the ground. At least this way, they would feel much warmer. They used wood for the frame and laid bamboo on top. Then they layered dry grass on top. At the same time, they constructed a stone wall to reflect heat onto the bed. This made it a lot warmer, and Heather was thrilled with the new shelter. Sleeping would be much cozier now. At night, they slept together like this, no longer huddling around the fire. African nights were really too cold. Lions and elephants were everywhere nearby, and they were too scared to sleep. The sounds of predators hunting were terrifying. By the 10th day, Lauren was most worried about lions. The nights were not only cold but also filled with the anxiety of predators. After 2 sleepless nights, he was barely holding on. Lying on the hard ground at night was unbearable. Robin chose to gather sand to make a softer sleeping area, hoping it would be more comfortable. Lauren kept gathering wood, feeling sore and as if something was pounding on his chest. Without protein intake, he could only rest more. Heather was hunting in the west when she spotted a big tadpole in the water. She wanted to catch them, but they were too fast and tricky to grab. Jenny was chopping down palm trees to weave tools from the leaves for catching tadpoles. I had no idea she could do that. She quickly wove a device, and Heather took it to the stream to catch tadpoles. Despite the water being full of small fish and tadpoles, she couldn't catch a single one. The tadpoles she scooped up escaped through the holes. She kept trying and finally caught one. Gradually, she mastered it, catching tadpoles and small fish. Heather grew increasingly obsessed with fishing. She hoped her efforts would secure food for the team. They roasted the tadpoles and ate them directly. Every night was a struggle. The temperature swings between day and night in Africa were extreme, and they had to tough it out to finish the competition. By day 11, they'd gripe about the previous night's cold every morning, knowing many more lay ahead. Their shelter wasn't very effective. Their confidence was slowly fading. In addition to gathering wood daily, they had to go out for bathroom breaks. Lauren felt dizzy while working. He realized it was best to limit bathroom trips to 3 times a day without food. Back at the shelter, he informed Jenny about his state, mentioning he felt faint while walking. Without protein soon, he might need his teammates to carry him out. The hunger and cold were brutal. Lauren, don't cry. You're the one who uses the bathroom the most. Even Robin can't handle going a few times a day. Skipping a trip won't make you any less hungry. He began considering quitting, and his teammates were really worried about him. Robin respected his choice. If you feel you can't hold on, don't be embarrassed to quit. Even if you leave the competition, you haven't lost in my eyes. You just didn't win the $100,000 prize. Thinking about it makes you cry, and it's heartbreaking. We came here to survive for the prize money. Who cares about winning or losing? In the end, Lauren called the show crew, saying she felt chest tightness and shortness of breath. Plus, she was malnourished and very cold at night. She said a lot, and the show crew just wanted to hear her say she was leaving. But she hadn't decided to leave yet. Finally, Lauren decided to quit the competition. One less teammate means one less mouth to feed. Lauren didn't lose. She just didn't win the prize in a prize-winning competition. She got sunburned and starved for 10 days. In the end, she got nothing. Jenny is the strongest in the team. Even after 10 days of hunger, she's still in good shape. Alright, stop crying. Heather has gone from a hot lady to looking like an old woman. Despite the big change in her face, she still uses charcoal to draw her eyebrows every day. Heather plans to make weapons for hunting. It's the 12th day. He woke up feeling okay and planned to make some traps to hunt larger animals. After getting up, they scouted the area, planning to set traps for guinea fowl. The traps were simple. Anyway, Heather was already thinking about how to cook the guinea fowl. After setting the traps, they used tadpole meat as bait. On the 13th day, they caught many grasshoppers in a small puddle. They used the grasshoppers as bait. Heather checked the traps and saw the bait was gone, but the traps hadn't triggered. There must have been animals here. He put new bait in, hoping to catch something. By the 15th day, they were catching tadpoles daily. Slowly, they nearly caught all of them. Tadpoles were their sole protein source, but they overfished the water, leaving no tadpoles or small fish. Jenny was worried about the food shortage. Robin also felt the resources were scarce. On the 17th day, while exploring, the girls found a small snake. The snake ended up dead at the hands of the 2 ladies. It resembled a small python, boosting their confidence. They made jerky out of it using the iron pot. They were very happy eating it. On the 18th day, Robin was picking up some small stones in the west. The end was near. He remembered his slingshot and planned to hunt with it. He saw a lizard on the rocks. He aimed and shot, hitting it, but couldn't find the lizard afterward. There was no evidence. You could say he hit a tiger, but now Robin felt useless, unable to bring any food to the team. The 2 girls took good care of him every day. He really wanted to bring back some protein for them. It was now the 20th day. Tomorrow was evacuation day, and despite their hunger, they were happy. While gathering wood, Heather saw a guinea fowl. He called his teammates to hunt it, but the bird flew off before they got close, dashing their feast dreams again. Jenny unexpectedly found a baobab tree here. The best part was, it had lots of baobab fruit. She was thrilled to have a good meal before evacuation. These baobab fruits are rich in starch and can be eaten as a meal. They tasted very sweet and delicious, one of the favorite foods for survivalists. In tough times, these fruits can be lifesavers. They enjoyed the baobab meal and felt content. With the evacuation tomorrow, they were even happier. It was now the 21st day, the evacuation day. If they successfully evacuated, they would win the $100,000 prize. Heather had already planned how to spend the money last night. After getting ready, they set off, needing to walk 10 kilometers. No matter how hard the journey, they were determined to reach the evacuation point for the $100,000 prize. And they did it. So, who will take on the challenge next time? Stay tuned for the next episode.